Welcome and thanks for following along our workshop on entry-level cover letters. The purpose of cover letters is an important thing to think about as you're working on one, just like we did with the resumes. A cover letter has a similar purpose to a resume, but it's an opportunity to be more specific and more detailed. You don't want to repeat what was in your resume, instead you want to expand on it. This is another opportunity to prove that you really do have certain skills by discussing your qualifications with deeper details, examples, and stories. You're also putting a voice to your resume. Cover letter helps you seem like a real person, a professional person who can talk about your experience. There are a few components of a cover letter that are common to each one, and you'll want to include them so that your cover letter can be easily recognized as one. You've got the date, your address, the recipient's work address, a salutation or a greeting, an introductory paragraph, at least one body paragraph, a conclusion paragraph, your closing, your signature when it's printed out, and then your name printed. There's also some formatting you'll want to follow. You want to put 2 spaces between the major sections and then 1 space between the paragraphs of the cover letter. That's actually called a business letter. Make sure to take a look at the business letter document shared with you earlier in the module. Let's start at the top with the salutation. Greet the specific person with whom you're corresponding. It's best to talk to a specific person if you know who it is. So you can look in the job ad for a person that you're supposed to contact. You can call the company and ask who's on the hiring committee. You can look through the company's website for the person in charge of the department you're applying to. And when you find that name, make sure not to assume that person's gender. It's best to just type their full name rather than including Mr. or Ms. Now, if you can't find a specific person, you can address your letter to a group, such as Dear Hiring Professionals or Dear Selection Committee. Take 5 minutes to craft your header and salutation. Now let's look at the introductory paragraph. In this paragraph, there's a few things you should do every time. You should state the position that you're applying for. Now you can mention where you heard about the job if not knowing could lead to confusion on the reader's part, or if it's an opportunity to name drop. Maybe somebody at the company suggested that you apply. And then in the introductory paragraph, state why you believe you're a good match for the position or the organization. Think of 2 to 3 key qualifications or skills that you will address in the rest of the letter. This is kind of like the thesis statement of the cover letter. Here's an example to look at. Read it over and take 10 minutes to craft your own introductory paragraph. Next, let's look at your body paragraphs. You can include more than one, but don't exceed the 1-page cover letter format for entry-level jobs. The body paragraphs should support the claim that you made in the introduction. They should support that thesis. So how can you show that you have the qualifications or skills that you described in the introduction? Think about projects, awards and recognition, accomplishments, goals you've reached. However, make sure that you're not writing a list of facts about you because you've already done that in the resume. Instead, think about how you can talk about it in your own voice. Can you share a story about a specific thing that happened in relation to that experience? Here's an example for you to look over. Give it a read and try crafting some of your body paragraphs. It's okay if you don't have time to do all of them in the next 10 minutes. Finally, let's look at that closing paragraph. This one also has some expected things for you to say. You want to close with a strong reminder of why you're a good match for the job position and the organization. So you want to kind of call back to the main things that you've said so far in the cover letter. You should be requesting an interview in some way because, of course, that's the main goal. Click over to the link you saw earlier in the module to look at 5 phrases for closing a cover letter and landing an interview. Make sure in the closing paragraph you provide contact information and thank them. Take a look at this example and work on your own closing paragraph for 10 minutes.